for the short people. How y'all doing? Who are these guys? Oh yeah, I love you too. That's what it means, you know. For deaf people, that means I love you. It's like this. That's Texas Longhorns. Or Ronnie James Dio. Oh, see, I don't have to think. Yeah, I can't do that. That's David Coverdale. He's good at that too. Boy, it's hot up here.
Yeah, they just turned on the lights.
Can you turn the lights down a little bit, or at least the white? Who's the white guy? How about just the white ones off? You can keep the color ones on. No, you can't just turn the white ones off. Oh, it's all or nothing. Wow,
there you go.
To such technology.
Wow, just like a Kiss show.
Yeah.
All right, let me say how we're going to work this. I'm going to be asking Eric a couple of questions. After that, we'll open it up to the audience. We do have two requests. One is that you don't ask for autographs during the Q&A. We'll be doing autographs outside afterwards, and it's just a way to cut line if you want to ask during the Q&A. And the other thing is to limit your testimonials if you can. You'll have a chance to chat with Eric a little later on during the autograph session, and we're going to try to, really get as many questions answered as possible. So, let me ask you, Eric. You've been out of the band for a little while.
We should just sit down and get on phones, you know.
Why don't you tell us what you've been up to lately?
Well, lately, the last few weeks, I've been playing with Gilby Clarke, just doing some shows around the Southwest, and actually, we played in Cleveland last night. And then I flew in here this morning. I didn't sleep at all until just now. I slept a couple hours, so no sleep till Brooklyn, as they say. But we're going to Atlantic City tomorrow, playing there Tuesday night. So anybody that lives out there, I think we're playing at the Hard Rock Cafe in Atlantic City on Tuesday night. We still got another 2 weeks of gigs like around New York, playing Birch Hill, Jersey. Any of you guys from Jersey? Oh, I got one guy. Sorry to hear that. I'm just kidding. But I've been doing that, just doing some studio work. Actually, I was doing a record with Tommy Thayer, was producing this band. Tommy started his own record label, and he's producing some bands, so he asked me to play drums on it. And I think when I go home, I'm supposed to finish the record. Some band called 28 If, a band from Portland. It's pretty cool stuff, kind of like Beatlesy stuff. So I've just been doing, actually I finished with Gilby on the 21st or 2nd, then I'm going to Texas the 28th through about the 5th of December to do a week of clinics, drum clinics. So I've been doing drum clinics and like studio work and whatever, one day at a time.
So you played on Gilby's latest record, didn't you?
Just one song, just one song. He had done most of the record actually before I ever met Gilby. I mean, it's a funny story with Gilby. We grew up 8 blocks from each other in Cleveland and never knew it until I only met him about a year ago. I mean, I'd always known who he was and vice versa, but I never met him until last year, hanging out at some clubs, and he just asked me if I wanted to get together and like jam. So we had a fun band, a band called Don't Touch Grandpa, which was like a cover band that we were doing gigs with Ryan Roxy, who plays with Alice Cooper. He was in the band, a couple other guys. We would go out and just do all our favorite songs from 70s bands. I feel like I'm talking to you, Joe. I should be talking to them.
Okay, yeah, you've been doing some recording lately too.
How's the law business, Joe?
What's that?
How's the law business?
It's going okay.
Drew, I keep calling you Joe, it's Drew. Yeah, where's the other guy? Is Joe your partner?
Yeah, he couldn't make it out today.
That's who I thought was going to be here. Drew's a lawyer also, so watch what you say.
Yeah, you've been doing some recording lately. You worked on the Rod Stewart tribute record. You worked on an Ace Frehley tribute record. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, the Rod Stewart, I don't know when that Rod Stewart album comes out. I think it comes out probably, if not in December, maybe beginning next year. But it's there's a lot of cool people, and I did one song I sang lead vocals on. So that was the first time I ever sang lead vocals on a record, like besides Unplugged, because that was like a live concert.
First studio
or like
vocals.
A studio thing, right? So I did a song called Let Me Love You, which is an old Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck had a band called Jeff Beck Truth with Rod Stewart back in the late 60s, so it was a song off that album. And then I also played drums on the song that Gilby did a song. And then, is Doug here? Doug Snaysel?
I don't know if he's in the room. He's in the convention, yeah.
Oh, okay, he's in there hiding. The convention, wait a minute. It's a dirty word. Not allowed to call it that. What is it?
Excuse me. It's an
expo.
expo.
Okay. We have to be formal. Gene might get mad at us.
The lawyer has to call it an expo, yeah.
That's right. Well, that's you. You're the lawyer. You got to cover all the bases. But the Rod Stewart album, which is called, the Ace album is called Return of the Comet. And I did Strange Ways, which I sang lead vocals on, and Carl Cochran, who played bass with Ace's last version of his Ace Frehley band. He played bass and guitar and back vocals, and then we also did Lover All I Can, which Carl sang lead vocals on. But I kind of like did split the harmonies with him.
That's the first time you sang a Kiss song for in the studio for a record, only after you left the band?
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you.
But it's a cover song, so it's not a.
Well, let me. I know this question's going to come up, so I might as well ask it now. What are your thoughts on Carnival of Souls, on it being released, on how it's been released?
Well, that's good. Thanks. Well, I'm glad it came out for the sake of the fans, because, you know, they always had lousy versions of bootlegs. I'm sure any of you had bootlegs, you probably noticed the difference between some of the speeds and the sounds were pretty crappy on the bootleg, so at least you got a decent version. I think the artwork's pretty lame. Well, I opened it. The first day it came out, I was doing a gig that day, and some kid brought it down to sign. I was like, that's the inside. A lot of space to sign the autographs, I would say that. At least they had a little forethought there. Yeah, a lot of space there, right down the middle. Oh, of course. Of course. Well, come on. Did you expect any less? You can't expect any less. What? Have what? Both what? Oh. See, you put lyrics in there, it doesn't make money. Okay.
Let me open up the floor to questions. The only request is, when you have a question, please speak it very loudly, because we don't have a microphone to give you guys. Okay, right here in front.
Yeah. Thank you. Right. Yeah, it's dry. It's what you hear is just pretty much raw, real raw, natural drums without any effects or anything. No. No. Okay. Thank you. Well, nobody ever asked me.
Hey, Eric, could you tell us about your time with Jackie Lee?
No, his name is Jake, not Jack. Jakey Lee. Well, actually, that's a kind of a two-part question. The photo that's on the cover of that album, I never knew it was going to be. Everybody else thought it was going to be that zipper with the flaming head, which I thought was cool. But I think I can only presume that Gene and Paul were probably concerned about the fact of people being confused that might be a new Kiss album from the band, you know, the way it is now, you know, the original band. And so to avoid that, that's why they called it, you know, just put a picture. We did, you know, throughout the time I was in the band, we'd always randomly do photo sessions. You know, like they'd say, okay, we need to do new pictures so we can submit them to magazines, just to have new pictures. So we did a photo session while we were in the studio with William Haim. That was from that photo session. Never was intended to be used for anything other than just like new pictures. So they took it in. It's actually compressed, if you notice. That's why it looks, to make it fit that kind of format, because it was kind of a wider shot. But that was just a little tiny kit that I had. I used to use that kit for demos for a lot of the songs we were doing for Carnival of Souls. A lot of times we'd go in a little demo studio. It was mostly Bruce and Gene and myself, and we'd go in there just to put ideas down, and I would just bring that little kit because it was really small. It's like an old Rogers drum set. So I made sure I blocked the name off. I hope Pearl's they're not going to be happy about it. I never knew it was going to be on a cover, but actually I ended up using, that kit wasn't used on the record. It was set up in the studio, but I never used it. And regarding the Jakey Lee thing, I mean, nobody really asked me. And once in a while people say, oh, I really like that Badlands record, and that's about all they'll say. I mean, if you have a specific question. Well, musically I did, but not personally. I mean, I call it the way it is. If I don't like somebody or don't get along with somebody, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it or dance, tiptoe around it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he's a great guitar player, really good, one of the best guitar players I ever played with. But he marches to the beat of his own drummer, and it's a different time zone than I am. So, I'm trying to be diplomatic, but it's just, we didn't see things eye to eye. But he's a great player. I mean, you can't deny if somebody's good at what they do, even if you don't agree with the way they do it.
See.
Thank you.
As you can see, Eric.
There's a cheaper seat today.
Everybody thought Eric was the quiet one, right? Okay. Yeah, right there.
Well, I don't have bitterness, but see, a lot of times I have to be careful how I answer questions because people always want to read between the lines and they want to form their own opinions and take things out of text. I mean, I'll say this: every situation, relationship you have with anybody is always a common. Like for example, I don't know you, but you have your good points and your bad points. Sometimes the bad points become more prevalent than the good ones in certain relationships with people. So I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, I had a good time while I was in the band. There's a lot of things I don't agree with the way Gene and Paul do things. I mean, I'd probably say the one beef I have with them, and this goes towards I think all you fans as well. I don't agree with the way they treat people a lot of times. That's the only thing I can say if I want to say anything in a negative way. I think they show a lot of disrespect for people at times. And I gotta call it the way I see it. And I think they sometimes don't appreciate people the way they should, especially the fans. Yeah, but believe me, that had nothing to do with the reunion. The reunion, believe me, see, you guys don't know Gene and Paul the way I know them. That was in the works, believe me, way before that. That was just one of the connecting the dots along the way. They were just trying to get the ducks to line up, and that was just one of the many things. Because they had asked Ace to come to the convention in New York, and I mean, Bruce said he always knew at some point they'd probably try to. It was a matter of if they could. Ace and Peter didn't always have themselves personally together to be able to do something like that. And I think part of it was the record, the last few years there's been a big revival for 70s music and retro and the whole thing. I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing. So a lot of that, that whole thing, the record company even said, hey, if you guys are ever going to do a reunion tour, you got to do it now because, they're not getting younger. In a couple more years, you guys would always care because you're the diehards, but a lot of people might not care. A lot of things in life is timing, especially in the music business, and they couldn't have picked a better time. They had no competition out there. There was no other band. If Van Halen would have done the reunion with David Lee Roth, it would have been Goodbye Kiss on that tour last year, I guarantee it. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't say that to slight it because Van Halen is, America's rock band. I mean, Kiss is always, to you guys, I'm not saying to slight Kiss because I love Kiss like you guys do, but Van Halen, that would have been a stadium tour, every city, Van Halen with David Lee Roth. Believe me.
Well, one question at a time, because there's a lot of people that got questions.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, right back there. No, one back.
Which guy? Oh, you?
Yeah.
How did it feel for you to fill in the shoes of late Eric Carr when you first joined in? And how do you look back on it now?
How do I look? Well, I always look at it that you don't replace anybody. I mean, Eric was his own entity, just like Peter's his own entity, and I'm my own entity. And it's like, what you guys like, you like. If you like one more than the other, that's cool. Unfortunately, what happened to Eric was terrible, and somebody would have had to come in to play drums for Kiss. So I'm glad it was me rather than somebody else. That's the way I always looked at it, and I'm glad I got an opportunity to do it. He left a, I know you guys all, really loved him. I met Eric, but I didn't know him. But I never heard anything but good things about what a great guy that he was, And from what I understand, he dealt with a lot of the same things that I dealt with being in the band. So I probably relate to him in more ways than people realize.
Okay, right over there.
Oh yeah. Old songs. Well, a lot of that had to do, I'm not going to take credit, but a lot of them, the band playing older songs. If you notice, once I got in the band, we started playing a lot of the older material. That was me always saying, let's play these old songs. Oh, because, see, I liked the first three records. That, to me, is the Kiss that I like. Up to Alive, because Alive is a culmination of the first three. I loved, especially Hotter Than Hell and Dressed to Kill.
Were you the one who put Going Blind in the set list?
I don't know. I didn't I can't sit there and go, oh, I did this, I did that. But I was always, for example, what was the one song? I'm getting a mental block. I'm trying to think the one song that I kept always wanting to do. And, a lot of times say, nah, I don't want to do that song, I don't want to do that song. I say, no, this is really cool, like Watching You, because it reminded me of old Humble Pie. It's like Paul was into Humble Pie when he was younger. So if you're familiar with that band, you'll see the relationship of that particular song to that style of music. But I used to, always they try to encourage them to play a lot of these old songs. Can you take that delay off? That's like a weird delay.
It's the echo,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah. It just sounds weird. But you know, I was always into like older songs. So I kept saying we should do this, do that. Cause I liked Kiss before they started you see, to me, when I got into Kiss, I was a teenager, and they were more darker and heavier in the beginning. You know, it was more black leather, darker, heavier, almost like a Black Sabbath-ly influence kind of stuff. Then he kind of got the little kids, no offense to the kids, but they start getting little kids coming to concerts with their moms. And when you're a teenager, you go to a concert, the last thing you want to see is a little kid and his mom sitting next to you. So that kind of turned me off. So, but I liked, you know, the first 3 records when there was just like, you know, it was more like they were kind of an underground band before they broke.
Just to show that Eric really does like kids, let's take a question from here in the front.
No. Why, did you think I was? No. See, a lot of people have confusion. I find it really kind of odd that people still ask me, so when are you going back with Kiss? It seems like, I don't know if it's either that people just weren't made aware of that Gene and Paul just never really, you know, how they addressed the issue, or you know, what perception you as fans have had. But you know, basically the bottom line is they went back to the makeup tour. After they were doing the makeup tour, they came back to Bruce and I and said, hey, we're staying in makeup, which meant like, you know, adios. What? No, I didn't. I'll just say this: I didn't quit. Okay, that's the bottom line. So, well, like I said, I didn't quit. Okay. Bottom line is, you know, that's the real deal. You know, I mean, it's not like they turn around and said you're kicked out. I mean, you got to look at the reality of it. I mean, in all fairness to Gene and Paul, I'd have done the same thing, and any one of you would have done too. I mean, this is the way Paul put it to me when he first came and said, we're going to do a makeup tour. He said, we're going to do a reunion tour. Our record label has even said, if you're ever going to do it, now's the time to do it. And you know, as we look back, you know, hindsight is 20/20, but looking back, of course it was the right thing to do. Look how successful, how much money they made. That was the biggest grossing tour last year, for music. So I would have done the same thing. They said, you know, we've got to do this. I remember Paul saying it's like winning the lottery. It's like I'm giving you a winning lottery ticket. Said all you got to do is do this, 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 and this, and at the end of this time frame, then you'll have the money. It was like almost like a not a virtual guarantee, but just about as close as you can get. So I mean, I don't blame them for doing it. You know.
All right, let's go further in the back.
How about Gene over there?
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
How long have you been a true Kiss fan?
Well, I got into Kiss from the first record. So I was in high school at the time. I think I was in, I don't know. That came out in '73, so I would have been in like 10th grade. So I was like probably 15 or 16. I remember the first time they came to Cleveland, I couldn't get in because they played at the Agora, which is a club. And actually I played there last night. But they played the Agora and opening up for Rory Gallagher. But I wasn't old enough to get in.
Okay, yeah, back there with the camera.
Yeah, the bootlegger with the camera.
First of all, happy haircut, too.
What?
Happy haircut.
Happy, what'd you say?
Happy haircut.
Happy haircut? Yeah. I had the chocolate off, I got sick of it. You know what somebody said to me at one thing, they go, Eric's trying to be like Peter Criss, he cut his hair so I'm like, no, but it's really weird because that's how warped sometimes people can be about how they perceive something. That's why I said you have to be I've always realized, I try to think before I speak so I don't put my foot in my mouth, but you have to be careful sometimes how you say things and what you say to people because everybody's comprehension and how they perceive things is really sometimes like, wow, way over in left field. So,
I have a question for you. Going back to like Paul solo tour you did back in like '88, did you ever...
89.
89, I'm sorry.
For all you archivists.
Was there any truth to the rumor that you eventually played on some demos for Hot in the Day?
Yeah.
Like Sword and Stone and Hide Your Heart?
No, I played on Read My Body and I think King of Hearts. Those two. And then another guy played on. I was in Badlands at the time, and Paul called me and said, "Hey, can you play on some demos?" Because Eric didn't live in L.A., so a lot of times, see the way Gene and Paul work, it's kind of funny. They just each one kind of like does their own thing individually. So they might use different people to play on demos. It's nothing more than that. I know that then I was playing on some demos. I had to go to Japan, so I had a friend of mine. He ended up playing on some of the demos as well.
Okay, so it is true that Eric Carr did not play on the entire hockey show album.
I played on demos. Demos doesn't mean the record. I didn't play on the record. See, there you go. That's why I said about you got to be careful what you say, because people like right away think. But I think that other guy did some of the stuff that he played on. I think he told me that it's his drum tracks that ended up on the record. That's what he said to me. You know, usually like when you play on something, you hear it back, you go, I know if I played on it or not. He says that he played on a couple of the tracks that ended up on the record. I don't know if that's true or not. Was this right out of the tap?
It's what they gave me.
Oh, just they can't give me some like bottled water or something.
Can somebody grab me some bottled water? Anybody?
How about do they sell it? They have a bar out there? Okay, do they see they have like club soda or seltzer water? All right.
Thanks a lot. See how little you actually needed me, Eric? Right over here?
Yes. Oh, that's a Zildjian. See, I can throw my voice. That's a Zildjian. It's a Zil Bell, but it's like an ice bell. It's Zildjian's version of an ice bell, but it's called a Zil Bell. And I think it was actually the bigger one, so it's probably an 8-inch one. I'm sorry? I don't know. Well, you must know better. You probably. I don't know that they make two sizes Zildjian. The bigger one. Same thing on Hate. It's the same thing on Hate. The same thing. That little ding ding ding. That's the same thing I spell.
All right. The guy in the Kiss T-shirt.
Oh. Hey, wait a minute. You're stealing my material. That's what I usually say. Stealing my jokes.
Eric, I have basically three things to say. Number one, you're a music director at a college radio station not too far from here, Elmhurst College. This week, Carnival Soul.
That was a little plug there, huh?
And it's going up to number one next week on the playlist. The response has been phenomenal to Carnival Soul from the audience that we get. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of Carnival Soul.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I told that to Steve Paul on Rock 135 last week. That was me. Number two, wanted to know a little bit about the Queen tribute album that you worked on. How did you get involved with that? And number three, when you're done here, because I'm part of the radio station, can I get a legal ID out of you?
A legal ID.
Yeah.
You're listening to.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean just an ID?
Yeah.
When you say legal, I say talk to my lawyer. Sure. Yes to number three. Number one, thank you. And what was number two? Oh, Queen. Bob Kulick was Bruce's brother. Was the musical coordinator for the record. So he basically is the guy that comes in and plays. I just did an Alice Cooper one a couple months ago or something. He's the musical director, so he will hire different rhythm sections or different vocalists or whatever have you for the different songs. So he just said, hey, you want to play this song? And that's, that was it.
Yeah, it's called Save Me, and Bruce is on that track too, right? There it is. Over by the door.
Yeah, I've heard rumors about a promo tour for Carnival Souls. Do you have anything to do with that?
It's probably not true.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, I heard Gene and Paul did a promo thing for radio that my friend here said. Brian, my friend Brian. I think they went around and did some radio stuff, I guess. But I've been out on the road, so I have no idea, what's going on.
Okay, the fella kneeling before Gene.
Oh, that would be a girl usually. I got good timing, don't I?
Just usually.
I didn't say that. I didn't mean it. See, now there you go, read between the lines.
Just a glass?
Let's have a hand for Colin.
Go ahead.
Who had that Kiss? Oh, I like your Kiss hat, dude. Those are great. Those are cool. I remember the guy in Cleveland made them for a few people. There was a Gene one too. It looks cool. I mean, it's like perfect thing to do. The Indian guy. Yeah. I wasn't going to be a dog. No, I didn't. That was Bruce. Is that what I said? Talk to my lawyer.
All right, over here.
No, I haven't come pull on her. Alice Cooper? Alice Cooper? No, I mean, it's cool what he does. All he's doing is, to me, is the 90s version of Alice Cooper. He's just taking it to another level. I mean, you can get away with a lot more, probably now than you could back in 1968 and the early 70s when Alice came out. But, I mean, you watch his whole vibe, it's Alice Cooper. Go watch old Alice Cooper, like the early Alice Cooper, before he actually got real big. That's the same vibe. Really the same thing. It's just, you know, but he puts his own twist to it. I think it's cool. I mean, I don't know what the guy's about. I never met him, and, you know, but I mean, I think, you know, some of the whole vibe and look of it looks cool. You like it? Yeah. It's Kiss Alice Cooper vibe thing, you know.
Yeah.
I remember Gene went to one of the shows once, and I don't think he does it now, but he used to wear like this thing, like a rubber dick thing, and he gave one of those to Gene. And of course, Gene gave it to me. And, he did, and I gave it to my nephew, because he was in the room, and it had, you know, it gave Gene a bunch of swag, like, you know, t-shirts and hats, and that rubber, it's like I don't know what the hell it was. What? Well, kind of like that, but it had like a rubber dick thing, prosthetic kind of thing. And of course, Gene goes, here, you can have this. Thanks, Gene. That's what I always wanted him.
Over here between the baby carriages.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah!
Was that you? All right. Cool. That's right. Well, it's like, I'll be honest with you, like any band, if some people have a hard time understanding how the dynamics work, like when you're in a band and not in a band anymore. Because I've been in a lot of bands, so, so the thing is, when you're ever with the group I'm playing with at the time, those are the people you hang out with, those are the people you kind of do things with, that becomes like your little circle. It's like if you had a job, and you know, the people, your other employees, you might have some people that you work with that you get along better than with others, and you might do things outside of work. But if you go and switch jobs, you lose touch with those people, and then it becomes another circle of people that you hang out with. I mean, that's the way it's always been for me my whole career, and there's a few people that I became really personally good friends with through the years from other bands that I still keep in touch with on a regular basis because we personally got along real well, not just professionally. So there's a difference between that. I mean, being in a band is kind of a, you know, it's a professional thing, and sometimes it can be real personal if that's the relationship you develop. You know, I still keep in touch with Bruce. In fact, his drummer's house sitting for me while I'm gone, and you know, and I help them out, you know, loan them all drum kits for their album. They did. I think they're just finishing up their record now, so I loan them drum kits to use and stuff. But Bruce and I, it's, you know, we've always got along good in that way because we were kind of always the odd men out in a way, you know. So it's like you just kind of like, you always find somebody you kind of like bond with whatever group you're in a little bit more than the other guys, you know. With Gene and Paul, they kind of always keep a separation, you know. It's like the employer-employee relationship type of thing, you know. That's just the way they choose to do it because to them it's a business. So, you know, I mean, I've moved on and do my, you know, I'm just going on with my life, do my own thing, and they're obviously doing theirs, you know. And it's like their thing is doing the makeup thing, which is, you know, and it's cool, power to them.
Have you heard any of Bruce's new stuff, and what do you think of it?
No. I take it back. I heard one song, and it sounded to me, the song I heard, well, I recognized one of the riffs because it was a riff that was originally Bruce had brought for Carnival Soul, so it's kind of in that vein, I think, but with a different singer, you know.
Right.
But I only heard one song, so I'm not the person to ask. But when I get home, I'll probably get to hear the whole thing. But it's in the vein of Carnival Souls. It's kind of like, you know, that darker or heavier kind of thing like that. But John's a great singer.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known John for years, and his wife used to work at a haircutting place back in the 80s when I first moved to LA. You know, and I used to see John. I remember when he auditioned for Quiet Riot back in like the mid 80s and stuff. So he's a nice guy.
Right over here.
I just did with Gilby about a week and a half ago.
How did that go?
Nobody was there.
Okay, the fella in Kiss makeup right there.
Ace, how you doing? I like your. Let me stand up. Show everybody your outfit. Come up here so they can see it. This kid's got a cool outfit on. Who made that for you? The mom? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, check it out. Oh, it's velour. No, it's kind of. Oh, that's cool. All right. I like it. Were you Ace for Halloween? Yeah. So every day's Halloween now, right? Did you have a question?
Are you in Paul's you
Did you? Well, I haven't talked to them in a long time, but you know, it's like I was just explaining the last question. It's like, you know, I'm on good terms with everybody, but I don't necessarily talk to them all the time. You know, it's like if you moved away from a friend, you might not see him or talk to him for a long time, but eventually you'll probably cross paths again. Actually, I saw Paul at Dallas Cooper show a couple months ago. He was with Bob Ezra and hanging out at the show. All right, get lost.
Right over here.
Oh, you should have flown back to your seat. Sure, why not? He's breakdancing. See, everything's coming back. No, okay, good. I'll answer that question. Because a lot of people have a misconception. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably see like Metal Edge and whatever, and then the Gene has his nice little response. Yeah, I know. Okay. Well, let me tell you the way it is, because I like to be honest with people, and I think that that's one thing that it's hard to try to be as forthcoming and honest as you want without, you know, like having people read into things the wrong way. You know, I find if I don't answer things the right way, people think right away, oh, you're being bitter, and it's not about bitterness. I mean, to me, regarding Gene and Paul, I have to treat the situation the way they treat it. They treat Kiss as a business. So if I'm going to have any involvement with them in any way, I have to treat it as a business because that's the level that they're at and how they want to deal with it. And Doc McGee called me up and asked me, said that the band wants to do some promotion. They want to know if you want to do it. And I said, not for free. That's the bottom line. That's the truth. I'm just going to tell you guys the way it is. Because I'm not in the band anymore. And I don't make any money off Carnival of Souls. So whether the record comes out or not, it sells 2 million records, I don't make a dime. Like I said, I don't make a dime.
Why?
So, just so you guys know, the reason I have no problem. I'll promote the record. I think it's a good record. Anyone asks me any questions about it, I'll gladly talk about it. I've been out there playing with Gilby. I've done some interviews. I always talk about the record and bring it up. I've done some radio stuff, but what I said was I won't do promotion with Gene and Paul and go out. See, I'm an independent drummer. What I do for a living is I play drums. So I make a living, you know, by when I'm working. If I'm not working, I'm not making money. So to me, I don't want people to get the wrong idea that it's only about money, because it's not. But I have a house payment. I have bills to pay just like all of you do. And nobody works for free. Does any of you work for free? No, of course. So it's really about economics and about being fair. It's like when I was in the band, I did anything and everything that was required to promote the band and my position in the band, willfully and gladly. But I don't play for Kiss anymore, and haven't been for almost a year and a half, or almost 2 years, or whatever the time is. So if I'll gladly do things, but I can't go and do things for Gene and Paul for nothing. Well, I think that's up to you guys. I think for the sake of you guys, it should have been. I mean, it's kind of odd timing. I think in a way I think some people are a little confused, but I think it's if the fans want it, the fans should get what they want. That's kind of what it's about. I mean, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you guys don't want, see, I always feel you vote by your participation. If you like something, buy it. But don't buy it and complain about it and keep buying it. And that's one thing I find that a lot of fans do. They keep saying, I don't like what Gene and Paul do this, I don't like this, I don't like that. Don't buy it, That's how you send the message you send the message to people by your participation. If they see you're not buying something, then they go, oh, they don't like this, so we won't do those kind of things. That's kind of how you can help promote the things that you want, out of a band. I mean, obviously the people love the makeup in Kiss, so that's why they did the makeup thing. And hey, nobody can die. That's what the that's the essence of what Kiss was about, was the makeup, the whole thing from the beginning. I mean, that, to me, the magic in Kiss is the makeup, you know? If you took the makeup away, would you want to go and see the reunion tour with no makeup?
No.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think very few people would. Well, but you know something? That's nice and it's appreciated, but you're the minority. And majority rules, and majority says we want the makeup. We want that. And that's cool. I respect that. And I think it should be, you know, whatever people want, that's what it should be, you know?
All right, way in the back there.
Yeah, you've been an independent drummer basically your
My whole
career,
life.
Yeah. Did you start off with Dino 4? Was that your first thing?
Well, actually, I started off playing in my dad's band when I was a little kid. That's where I started off.
And how did you become so popular in terms of working with all different people such as Badlands and Dino 4 and Gilby? How did they, you know, oh, I like him?
I paid people off. No, it's just, you know, it's a lot of it, it's what you call an intangible thing, which means you can't actually put your finger on any one thing. It's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot, hey, I'm not the greatest drummer in the world. I know that. There's many people that are every bit as good and way better, but a lot of it's being in the right place at the right time, timing, luck, having the right attitude, being able to get along with people, being able to work with people, you know, keeping your nose clean. I mean, there's a lot of things involved in that. You know, I've been very fortunate, and I feel blessed, and I'm very, you know, glad that I've had a lot of good, you know, luck and good successes along the way. But, I mean, I get asked that question like at drum clinics from drummers, you know, what can I do, how can I, you know, what's the right path? There is no path. Everybody has their own path in life, and you got to find it for yourself, you know. The only thing I can offer is maybe my own experiences that I've gone through to maybe give people a little insight from my perspective, but it doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way. It's just the way that worked for me, you know.
Okay, we have about, I think, 5 or 10 more minutes left, so I'll try to get to enough questions. Yeah, in the zero shirt by the door.
So who the hell is in Kiss now?
Oh boy. Come on, you know Gina, Paul, Ace, and Peter.
What was the new album?
What do you mean? What new album? I didn't release it. The band did. Okay, here's the deal. Did you just wake up? No, I'm just joking. I'm not meaning to beg with you. No, I mean maybe you know, obviously he's a Smashing Pumpkins fan, so maybe he's.
No.
Just kidding. You're not?
No.
Why do you have a zero shirt
My mom didn't want
on? Okay, I like it.
Okay.
No, okay, the deal is, obviously you went back to makeup in the beginning of '96, and that's the band. Kiss has gone full circle. Basically, from where they started, they've returned back to the core original band. And that's where it's at, and that's where it's staying. Let's just so people know, the reason they released Carnival Souls, just so people know, is because when you do a record, a record company gives you money to do a record. You turn the record in, and you're paid for the record, right? Now it's like the record company paid for a product. Now, how are they going to get their money back? Not sitting on a shelf, so they've got to put it out. They had to find some way to work it. The label's not going to say, okay, we're going to give you X amount of dollars, you're just going to let it sit there forever. No way. You wouldn't do that. If you paid for work on your car or something, you'd want it done. So, and I'm using like goofy analogies, but the bottom line is the label they want their money back, and they had to find a way to work it out. So they thought, okay, let's put it out now in between with a picture of the old band saying that this is what it is, you know, final sessions, this lineup, blah, 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 and that's it.
Yeah, right over here.
Well, I don't know if I'll ever do a solo. Maybe I might do some. I've been toying around with the idea of doing something with one of my friends. But, I mean, Bruce and I we've done like we did the Kiss convention together. We went to Australia and did a clinic tour together. We played on that Queen thing. We'll always do little things like that together. But Bruce has his own band, and, you know, he's gone his own way. And, you know, I love Bruce. He's a great guy. But we played together in a band already. You know, we did for 4 or 5 years in Kiss. So, you know, I've done that, and I love Bruce, but you know, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing.
Okay, right over here.
We'll come again. No. No, here's what happened. I went to do that drum video they said I can use the Kiss logo and some live footage, blah, 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 blah. Well, and by the time they came out, I was out of the band a month after it came out. Great timing.
Okay, yeah, back in the corner there.
Me?
Yeah.
Eric, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Great. How come you don't get nothing from the Carnival of Souls album?
Because that's the way it is.
That sucks.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know if you're at liberty to talk about your contract with Kiss at all.
Nope.
There it is.
See, I don't, no, partly because not aside from the legal ramifications, the reason I don't because it's nobody's business, you know. I wouldn't ask somebody else about their bank account or their family's income or anything like that. It's nobody's business. That's all personal stuff. The bottom line is, when you work for Gene and Paul, it's their way or the highway. That's the bottom line. So, the deal, you know, hey, I made a deal when I came into work for them. That was the deal. It may not have been to my liking, may not be fair according to me, but the bottom line is that was the way it was, and it's over, all done and said.
You should have took Peter's place.
All right, yeah, right there.
Well, and by the time they came out, I was out of the band a month after it came out. Great timing.
Okay, yeah, back in the corner there.
Me?
Yeah.
Eric, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Great. How come you don't get nothing from the Carnival of Souls album?
Because that's the way it is.
That sucks.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know if you're at liberty to talk about your contract with Kiss at all.
Nope.
There it is.
See, I don't, no, partly because not aside from the legal ramifications, the reason I don't because it's nobody's business, you know. I wouldn't ask somebody else about their bank account or their family's income or anything like that. It's nobody's business. That's all personal stuff. The bottom line is, when you work for Gene and Paul, it's their way or the highway. That's the bottom line. So, the deal, you know, hey, I made a deal when I came into work for them. That was the deal. It may not have been to my liking, may not be fair according to me, but the bottom line is that was the way it was, and it's over, all done and said.
You should have took Peter's place.
All right, yeah, right there.
You feel now like how Peter and Vinny are, like just like we got them out of band. You ain't gonna get your cash, so get out of our face. Sue us, and then they'll wait taking money like Peter, and they found out was rejoining the band.
No, because my situation is a very simple, cut and dry situation. I had a certain arrangement with them, a working arrangement with them while I was in the band. I'm no longer in the band, and that arrangement is over. And everything, they don't owe me any money. Nobody owes anybody anything. There's nothing like that. See, I didn't get into the things with like Vinny. Vinny, I don't know what the whole thing with Vinny is and all that stuff. I don't need to know. I mean, I know that, you know, Vinny was probably had to deal with the same situation I had to deal with Gene and Paul in certain ways, but they also had to deal with Vinny. So, you know, I think for Gene and Paul, dealing with Vinny is different than dealing with me. So, but it's not like that. I mean, everybody's situation was unique and different to the, unique unto itself. So whatever I don't know what their relationship was with Ace or with Peter or with Vinny, you know, regarding finances or monies and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, we got two more questions here. Let's go right over here.
That's one question. You must be a drummer. What? No, I'm not playing today. That's not my kid. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll do something later with that band. We'll see. How did the MTV Unplugged was a cool thing. I mean, it was a good experience. I think it was one of the. I think the one thing I'm proud about and glad about is that it kind of got to show that. I mean, Kiss and makeup to me is the makeup, and that's what it's about. I mean, that's what it's about. It's more the makeup, not the music. But with MTV Unplugged, it was more about the music. It was like stripping things down without hiding behind makeup and smoke and mirrors and bombs and stuff, and saying, hey, you know, these guys can actually play half decent. They can actually sing half decent. Hey, these are pretty cool songs. It got to show a whole different audience out there. I mean, you guys know what it's all about. You've been around for years and you've been diehards. But there's a lot of America and other people around the world that really didn't have a clue. They just think, oh, there's the guy with the tongue, you know. I mean, that's all they know. So I think it was really cool in that way that it got to show people a more musical side of Kiss and another side of Kiss that they probably didn't even realize existed.
Okay, we only have time for one more question. I'm really sorry we couldn't get to everybody. You'll be able to talk with Eric when he's doing his autographs. I think it's in the other room right after this.
I don't know. Talk to Steve.
Stephen Key.
Or Steven.
Yeah, I'm just a lawyer.
Talk to the lawyer.
Okay, this gentleman in the Kiss hat has a very strong arm. It's been up all day. So.
Who's got it? Oh, there he is. No. I still have my pinball machine. That I have. Because it's a good one. It's a good